Labour must champion inclusivity to tackle advance of the far right, says the deputy leadership hopeful. Going to read into this exclusive from The Guardian, you guys. So it says that Alison McGovern says the party needs emotive storytelling to fight against division promoted by reform. Now, if I'm absolutely honest, do I actually believe she has a chance of getting the deputy leadership role? Pretty unlikely. Because I see her possibly getting the nominations, maybe. I just think like that Blue Labour has quite such a grip on the party now, and they're ever growing presence, and they're continuously growing. And they are going to literally, I mean, if they're not already blue Tories, I don't know where we're seeing this, because there's many people, Labour have really lost its roots of what it used to be, of what it used to stand to be. And even there's only one union left that's supporting Labour, and they're actually looking to pull away after recent events as well. And they've completely lost sight of who they were as a party. They really do. They talked and said all the right, a lot of things that they'd spoken said before they went into government were a lot of the right things, saying about things about the Conservatives. But as they were getting closer and closer to the election, narratives and things that they were saying were starting to change from them. And that did leave me, and that did creep in the back of my mind, talking about. I mean, I was critical of Labour before they got into power anyway. Excuse me, but. Do I actually like this deputy leadership hopefuls, all these hopefuls? Like, how much is this a case of shoring up Keir Starmer, or the fact they're just looking for their own political gains? And Kemi Badenoch was right at Prime Minister's questions about them. I honestly don't think they're thinking about Labour. I don't think they're thinking about the best interest of the public. I think they're all just thinking about, like, how can I gain power? How can I get more influence, how can I, get ahead of the pack sort of thing. And it's the same thing with all political parties. Whenever there's opportunity to seize power and the greed that comes with it, you really want to grasp it. And I don't know Alison that well, but in my view, I just think most of them are the same guys. But let's just hear her side of the story on this anyway. So Labour must take the argument to the far right to champion an inclusive and progressive Britain, the deputy leadership contender Alison McGovern has said. So speaking to The Guardian, McGovern says she wanted Labour to make a far more emotional argument, and said the progressive cause is at a risk of being lost unless we can tell that story. Here's the kind of one of the biggest cruxes is that they're allowing the reform and the right-wing media to make the narrative about what the British public are talking about, while at the same time they're not doing enough to address the cost of living crisis and to deal with poverty as well. We still have loads and loads of people who are using food banks. What are we doing to get people out of food banks, for example? Like, what are you doing to keep our bills down? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure everyone's bills have gone up on everything. You could have done something to freeze the bills. Like, what are you doing to the ordinary people? Yeah, you've increased the minimum wage, but everyone's bills have gone up as well. So, like, for me, it's just a case of, like, you haven't done anything to make ordinary people's workers' lives better. And while it's easy to say things take time to progress, and they do take time for things to change, it's taking too long. And they could have done actions now, within the first full year. They could have taken actions to change things, and they haven't. McGovern, the Communities Minister, has close ties with Number 10 and was previously the chair of the party's centrist Progress movement. A hardened election organiser, she said the deputy leader should be a campaigner-in-chief, as well as a party storyteller who could take on the divisions promoted by reform and make the case for a diverse Britain. The MP for Birkenhead was initially thought to be the favourite choice of Number 10, though the Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson has since entered the race. On Tuesday night, McGovern and just two nominations gained more on Wednesday morning, including the Justice Minister Jess Phillips, who many MPs had hoped would stand herself. The six hopefuls will need 80 fellow MPs to nominate them to reach the final ballot paper. Government said it would be her role as deputy leader to get the Labour movement to step up and challenge the spreading division and hate. Quote, the traditional kind of conservatism that we've had, that I've been battling all my political life is gone now. And it's been replaced by a populist, far-right view of the world, and they think and the world, and that I think that is dividing our country, she said. And that's what they want to do. They want to divide us. Rather than blaming millionaires and billionaires for our problems, they want us blaming each other. I really worry about this moment in politics. This past decade has not been good for this argument on diversity and inclusivity. And I think now is the time for progressives to realise that it is the Labour Party and the Labour movement that has this unique place in British society, bringing people together from different backgrounds on the things that they can have in common, and showing that if we fight together, we can win. Her comments echo some widespread worries within the parliamentary party that senior Liberals figures, including the Prime Minister, have not done enough to make the progressive case against Nigel Farage, especially over the summer when reform dominated the media conversation. Because Nigel Farage knew, because everyone went on holiday, and Nigel Farage took advantage of the situation. So he was able to dictate the narrative, being there. The government says the government was making widespread changes on the economy and communities that people would feel the benefits of. But it also needed a bigger story on values. If you see what's happening in communities across Britain and some people feeling unsafe and divided, and this narrative is coming out of the hard right, who is to blame for the problems in our country? I think our job is to say, actually, everyone needs a home and a roof over their heads, she said. Everyone needs a decent, good job that pays them properly, and everybody needs to feel part of something and belong to something, and we have those things in common. Like, decent, good job that pays them properly. Like, the problem is that most good jobs can't even pay for a single one-bedroom flat in London. Like, that's how difficult it is for people these days. She said Labour could make the case for inclusive, diverse Britain, that its story, and I think it really needs to be told. Practical things have got to be done. It also needs heart and soul, and it also needs an emotional argument. The governor said she saw in her own Northwest constituency that people were losing hope and that the change had not really reached them. There's still too many people out there who are working too hard for their poverty. There's a heck of a lot more to do, and we cannot give up on doing the practical things that will make life good. We cannot give up on the next generation, and we have to show people that the Britain that we're really proud of is there. It's very hard. It's very hard to believe that when you guys have been in power for more than a year, and we're not seeing things that are making our lives better. The government still feels hampered by the unpopularity of the government's welfare reforms, during which she was the employment minister. She said, as deputy leader, she would want a closer relationship with MPs and members. Quote, the role of the deputy leaders is to be the bridge between the movement and the members and the leader. And I think for that you need absolute loyalty and absolute honesty. So you've got to be able to tell people when it is not the right thing, but the way you do it is important. I mean, she's saying some really good things. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things here that, she's saying a lot of some good things. But honestly, it feels like a lot of waffle. That's just generally how I feel with it. Like, it doesn't make me think, wow, I definitely think she's the best candidate for the job. I'm going to get behind her sort of. It just feels like a lot of it is kind of like, it just feels like it doesn't resonate with me that this is somebody that really wants to not only take this job, but really take it by the scruff of his neck and really shake things up for Labour. I'm not feeling that from this. I don't know how many of you maybe feel differently, but I don't feel a sense of there's going to be major changes if she comes in, because the reality is that's not going to happen. I don't feel. I feel the major change will come if Keir Starmer is forced to step down, and when he will. And I think it's a question of when. Not when now, not if. Because it feels like the clock is ticking on him. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you think of Alison McGovern from her exclusive? Were you convinced by anything that she said in that? I'm not, but maybe some people might have. So let me know your thoughts and more down in the comment section below what you think. If you found this video interesting and informative, hit that like button, share it across social media, subscribe if you haven't already. Do check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content. And if you want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for always 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.